Radio Go. Radio Go.
Hello, and thanks for tuning into Radio Go. I'm Charlie James, and I'll be guiding this series of conversations. It's designed for AXA employees like you to be able to voice your concerns about the upcoming reorg. AXA knows you have questions about the decisions being made, so members of the executive leaders team will join me here each week to provide some answers. This episode, we'll be getting an overview of what to expect during the process. So let's jump right in and introduce today's participants. We have two members of AXA's leadership team here, Marc Blautière, who is AXA's Chief Information Officer. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
And Valerie Kalashnikov. She is Head of IT Services Office. Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
And we also have two employees with us who will be asking the questions. Virginie Foubert, she is a service level manager as well as a change agent.
Hello, everyone.
And Benoit Touillet, he is IS Convergence Program Manager for Business and Change.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to everyone, and thanks for being here today. Marc, let's start with you. Perhaps you can kick us off by explaining a little more about why you wanted to address the teams today.
Why do we do this? Obviously, we have started a very, very significant transformation. Many things happen every day, and this generates uncertainties. As a result, many questions. And we thought that having a podcast like that on a regular basis will help answer the question, and we'll ask people to coming from different areas. Hopefully, this will clarify what we are doing and dissipate uncertainties.
Great. And Valerie, can you tell us a little more about your role in the transition?
Yes. So as part of the IT Services Office, there is one of the mandates which is related to transformation, IT transformation. And this is with this hat on my head that I am seated here today to try and give a bit more insight of what is going to happen regarding transformation within IT in the coming months.
Great, thanks for that info. So with that, let's get into the Q&A now. These are questions submitted by AXA employees that Virginie and Benoit will be asking. Benoit, let's start with you.
Sure. Marc, we hear a lot about standardization, automation, and profitability. But what about humans? Should some of us be afraid of our jobs might become unnecessary or redundant in the near future?
Yeah, of course, so many changes happening, as I said before, creates uncertainties, but I don't believe we should be afraid about the jobs. First, I want to say that more and more in our business, technology will be everywhere. So we'll do much more than before. And as we do more with technology than before, we will need to be better in terms of discipline, security, quality. So it calls for more energy. And I am not expecting the number of jobs to decrease, but probably the opposite. That said, it's not going to be the same type of jobs. We need to learn step by step how to handle the new technologies, like the cloud, for instance. And of course, we need to help everybody. But for sure, people should not be afraid about the jobs, but they should be ready to learn on something new.
Clear.
Virginie, next question, over to you.
Valerie, my first question is for you. Can you tell us a bit more about the recruitment process? We know it has started, but what are the next steps?
Yeah, of course. So, as you know, we have 32 open positions in this process at the moment. For those 32 positions, we have received over 150 applications from people in the company that are willing to take over the positions. So it's a lot. And thank you for your participation in this process. This is important. At the moment, what's happening? Well, all of the candidates are being interviewed by HR recruiters who are doing a first selection of candidates. This is going to be finalized by end of this week. And in the meantime, we are starting to have some interviews with the positions manager who are starting to interview a few selected candidates who have gone through the HR process. So that's for the steps. This will continue until mid-November when we expect we will be ready to appoint the selected candidates and set the new team with them. Once this is done, we will continue to build on the new organization. We will go one step further, and you can expect that there will be a new launch of job opening that will be set either end of this year or beginning of 2019 to continue to recruit and onboard people in the new organization.
Thank you for your answer.
You're welcome.
Benoit, you have another question about the changes ahead.
Yeah, Charlie. Mark, naturally, some of us are feeling insecure and uncomfortable as this transformation is profound, as you mentioned before. It touches everything, governance, processes, tools, teams. Do you realize that you ask a lot and that people need time to adapt?
Yes, I realize that. Unfortunately, we have to go fast because the world is not waiting for us. Competition is moving very fast, and I realize that it's going fast. But look, 6 months ago, we defined a new model, we defined new organization, we went through a couple of steps that were quite fast, I would say. And look at now, we have a target operating model in place, managers are being recruited. And what's going to happen now is that we'll communicate much more through the managers to the teams, and the process will reverse. So far, it was more or less top-down. We want to operate like this. Now, we will work with the teams to build the operation together. That's very key. I don't believe people will be imposed the way to work. We have agreed on principles. We have agreed on the direction. Now, with the new management teams, we'll make it bottom up. And that will make things very different. I think IT is a human experience. If you look back to 30 years, and for those who are working in data centers and services, it's always fun. When you visit a development center, it's always fun. So here, I'm quite sure that people will embark as well with this notion of building the future.
Thanks, Mark.
For the next question, Virginie, please go ahead.
Another question. How will you guide us into this period? You talk about use cases. Can you give us more details about it?
Sure. So regarding use cases or processes, are they called at group operation level? We have 17 of them being worked on at the moment at group operation level. So those use cases are some hot topics that are being studied because we believe they are key for our organization to be flying on January 1st when we go live. So regarding IT, we are leading 8 of the processes. To give you some examples, I can talk to you about the engagement model that is being studied, or the incident, problem, and change management process that is also being reviewed. Things like this, the product life cycle. And all of those processes are being studied with operational team members so that we make sure that everybody knows what's expected from them, how it will work. And when the new organization is live at the beginning of next year, we don't have a bad surprise of falling into a use case, a scenario that we have not anticipated, and we don't know how to answer our customer or face an incident, for instance. So at the moment, we are in design phase, for those processes, and that will be finished by early next week. And then we will start to implement some actions so that we really are ready for the future. If you ask me what an action could be, for instance, on incident, process, and changes management, it will be to review the list of who is the owner of what, so that we know at any time if there is an incident, who is in charge. And that way the list is ready. And on January 1st, there is no bad surprise.
Okay, thank you, Valérie.
Good for you. And we have time for one final question. Benoit?
Mark, for this final question, it's a good initiative to allow employees to ask you questions directly as you allow them in your WebExes. We appreciate a lot, but how can you reassure us that it's not just a poster and that you really consider our feelings and fears?
As I mentioned before, so far, we had to be top-down. You don't design an organization worldwide without a vision or where you want to go and the key principles. And then, of course, we need to go through the social consultation, hiring the people, etc. But as I said before, the most critical is to bring on board all our employees. They know how they operate. They will translate our vision into a target operating model. And I don't expect my team directly designing the new automated process for patching, for instance. But I expect somebody to take the lead on that worldwide and make proposals. And we'll do it according to all the use cases we've just started to work on. I think there are many. We take the most critical one at the beginning. And hopefully we will be able to create collaboration between AXA service entities worldwide to work and design things that work globally. So clearly the willingness is not to be top-down anymore, but bottom-up. And that makes a big difference because if you are, actor of change, you take it much more seriously and not seriously, but you take it more positively. And that's what we want to do.
Sure. Thanks.
thanks to all of you for being open and honest about these important topics. And listeners, I hope you found this info helpful. Remember, we do have 6 additional episodes in the works, so more answers to come. Now, before we wrap this conversation up, let's get a little bit personal. Like you said, Mark, AXA is made up of people first and foremost. So let's learn a little more about everyone here. All of us listen to music, so we asked each of you to share your top guilty pleasure song. The one where if I opened your personal playlist right now, maybe you don't usually share with everyone. So let's hear the first.
Je voudrais bien, mais je peux point.
All right, who recognizes this one? Should we guess whose this one is?
Me.
Mark, all right. Why this song?
It's a very old song, but I like the tempo, and I think I never listened to it, but when it was created, I thought it was very funny, and everybody thought it was very funny.
And so for the listeners outside of France, tell us who this is.
I don't think they can understand the humor.
All right, let's go to the next one. Grooving in their chairs a little bit here. Whose guilty pleasure is this?
It's mine, Flashdance from Maniac, and I like to dance on it.
So guilty pleasure and a little bit of dancing, getting ready for work
Yes.
maybe in the morning. Nice. We've got 2 more to go. Oh, very dramatic. All right,
Benoit.
fess up.
I don't listening. It's Without You from Avicii. I'm listening to this song because I have several children and they are all listening to this kind of song up to right now.
So they're keeping you up to date on the pop
exactly.
music of the day.
Trying to get to be up to date.
We have one more. I'm guessing we know whose this is.
Maybe.
Let's hear it. Oh, some dance moves
I'm
here?
sure it's not only my guilty pleasure, but yes, I have to admit that Claude François and Alexandrie Alexandra, but in fact I could have selected any other tube from Claude François. I have to confess that when I was a kid, my mother was a fan, or a fan is maybe too much of a word, too much of a big word, but she was listening to a few CDs, and this was one of the few CDs she was always putting on. So I think I know all of the songs by heart. And now that I've grown up, each time I listen to those songs, it reminds me of good memories. So I still have it in my player and listen from time to time.
Very nice. That's what guilty pleasures are all about. Great choices, everyone. And thanks for letting us take a peek inside your playlist. And listeners, so you know, each person who joins this series will answer this same question. And at the end, we'll be posting the AXA Group IT Guilty Playlist with all the songs for everyone to enjoy. All right, that's all for this episode, but we want to hear from you. So talk to your change agents. Let us know what you think. And I'll be back in 1 week with more Q&A, so stay tuned.
Radio Go. Radio Go.